for your information as well as for your background knowledge about our university. So just give me a second. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and present. Can you guys see the presentation? Ada, can I get a thumbs up from you if it is visible? Liva, I got one from you too. So here we go. So first things first is, 16 years ago, I was perhaps in the shoes that you are in now. I was researching places of higher education for my bachelor's program. About 10 years after that, I was researching opportunities for my graduate degree program, and I found my home away from home in the state of Nebraska. And many of our students who come to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln have come to us through a variety of means. They may not have heard of Nebraska before. They may not be familiar with our environment and our culture in the heart of the United States. So I first want to introduce where and when and what Nebraska is. So we're a triple landlocked state right in the heart of the United States. There's about 2.5 million people in the entire state. The city of Lincoln, where the University of Nebraska-Lincoln is located, is our state capital, and there's about 250,000 people that reside in Lincoln. Now, one thing I always like to share with our students is that we are, yes, in the middle of the United States, but we are a quick jet ride to Chicago, to Dallas, to Denver, to connect to the entire rest of the world. And it's very easy to get to and from to the university and from Lincoln. So I just wanted to quickly orient you to where and what Nebraska is. I'm going to quickly then talk a little bit more in depth about our city. So as I was mentioning, we're the capital city of the state of Nebraska. There's about 250,000, 300,000 residents. So it's a vibrant, happening place in our state. We like to consider ourselves a small university town with a large hub for the arts, for entertainment. There's many resources and amenities that are within walking distance of our campus, with over 300 restaurants, tons of outdoor peaceful parks and walking trails. And we have many vibrant businesses. 7 Fortune 500 companies are located in the city of Lincoln, which we'll talk a little bit later about internship and career opportunities. But the city really supports its students, not only from the state of Nebraska, but from all over the world. So a little bit more about specifics with the university. Now, the University of Nebraska-Lincoln has about 23,000 students. We have about 50 students from Pakistan at the undergraduate and graduate level. So there's a very vibrant international student community. There's over 1,600 international students on our campus from over 114 countries and of all 50 states as well. One thing I always highlight is we are a Tier 1 research institution, which is the highest level of research and academic activity on a campus in the United States. So when you think of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, we are right up there with other Tier 1 institutions in terms of our academic offerings. We have over 9 academic colleges and over 100 academic majors to choose from at the undergraduate as well as the graduate level. Some other highlights that I always like to emphasize is, we have some pretty robust rankings that we'll talk a little bit about more later. But some things that jump off the screen is we're in the top 100 of engineering programs in the United States. We're a top 15 software engineering program in the United States, as well as we have over $320 million of research expenditures that happen each year. So we have plenty of studying and research going on. We also have plenty of social and developmental things for your growth as humans. And there's plenty of fun that can happen at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. One other thing that I'm going to emphasize is that we are an institution where there's a lot of opportunity to get involved, whether that be in undergraduate research or graduate research. Obviously, there's great courses as well. But for us, it's a really great place for your studies to come to the United States and thrive. Now, I'm going to talk briefly more in depth about our 100+ academic majors. Now, keep in mind, I'm first going to discuss more of our undergraduate programs and undergraduate admissions requirements. Then towards the end, I'm going to discuss a little bit about our graduate offerings as well. When you as a student and your families are sitting down talking about your studies, it's important to look at a university's academic offerings. You're going to want to ensure that you are going to be able to go study what you're wanting to do for career opportunities in the future. So for us at Nebraska, we have a very handy undergraduate list of academic majors. So for example, if you want to study accounting or mechanical engineering or computer science, you can go to this landing page, select the academic major of your interest, and it'll take you so you can do a little bit of research, learn a little bit about the course catalog, learn about the course sequences that we have available to students in that. So I always advise that you can do your own homework off of our webpage for finding your academic major of choice. Now, that's not to say you're doing it all alone, especially here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Myself, my colleague Ada Wu, our graduate studies office, we're here to answer and provide any support in discerning or thinking about what you're wanting to study in the future. So moving on, I do want to also highlight, I talked a little bit about our research opportunities. So in 2024, the University of Nebraska-Lincoln was home to over 180 of the world's most influential researchers. This is a survey done by the Stanford Elsevier top 200 scientists list, and we're really, really proud of the research output that our students get to have in the classroom and out of the classroom. Now, this is not just graduate research or PhD research. We have undergraduate research opportunities as well for students to start building that resume, building that network with peers, perhaps elsewhere in the Big Ten. And it really shows that our classroom learnings can be applied to practical research outside of that theory or that just more formal classroom setting. So we really, really pride ourselves on these opportunities for our students. And this then leads into some of our other, rankings and highlights. With research comes oftentimes entrepreneurship. So we have a high ranking in our undergraduate entrepreneurship ranking. So I think that's in the top 40 in the United States. And this all comes from our faculty, our graduate students helping, as well as our undergraduate students. So keep that in mind as you're considering and researching institutions. Especially if research is of your interest, what kind of research output does the university have? And we're proud that the University of Nebraska-Lincoln has high quality research output. Now, everything we do at the graduate and undergraduate level is focused on our student success. So some things that I'm going to highlight for you all is, oftentimes at large institutions, there's a perception that you have to go find your own way and figure it out yourself. The benefit that we like to say at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln is we're a large institution, yes, but we still have many, many student services leading to our student successes. So one emphasis area that I always like to highlight is you will have a one-on-one academic advisor in the college of your study. So that academic advisor and that robust advising support, make sure that you're on that right path from the get-go before you get even on campus with your class schedules, what you can anticipate. And we really emphasize that advising relationship at all of our colleges and all of our undergraduate and graduate levels. Next, I do want to also highlight our faculty mentorship. So back to that research component that I was emphasizing is, you're going to be able to interact with some of the best faculty in the world. And for us, we like to think that, our, faculty have had the opportunities to go live that life experience and then pass it on to students such as yourself. And then last, one thing of emphasis I always like to highlight, especially for students who have that high academic achievement and are seeking an environment of challenge, is the University of Nebraska-Lincoln is very proud of our honors program, as well as we have several other honors activities or groups that students can consider joining. Those might also include the Nebraska Business Honors Academy, which is within our College of Business. But we also have what's called the Rake School, which is a Rake's, it's for computer engineering and management students. It was founded by the former CEO of Microsoft, who is an alum of our institution. It's not Bill Gates, it was Jeffrey E. Rakes. And we're very proud of that Rakes program because it really creates the next generation of computer scientists, but also managers within that field of study. So that student success component is really very much part of our DNA as an institution, but there are other services that help promote our student success, whether that be in housing, whether that be our International Student and Scholars Office, but also, it could be like, for example, like a writing center or a tutor that you can avail yourself to for help with coursework as well. Now, with student success comes the opportunities to chart your career path. Everything that we do as part of an institution of higher learning is preparing students for the workforce. And as international students, we want to make sure you have those opportunities as well for your long-term success. So many of our students are getting one-on-one individualized career coaching through their colleges. Again, that's back maybe through an academic advisor recommending you go visit the career services offices within your college. Many of our students, say in engineering or in business, take advantage of our employer in residence program. So we literally have employers coming to our campus, seeking out our students, our graduates, to find job opportunities. And many of these students find summer internships, say at Amazon, say at, ConAgra Brands, or, maybe one of the large banking institutions like Deloitte, Goldman, KPMG. And those types of companies are seeking out our graduates, and they come to our campus to find the best talent for those students and for those businesses. The last thing I will always emphasize is with charting your career path comes building that network. So regardless if you're an undergrad or graduate student, it's all about building that network of connection, and doing so often comes with making connections with our alumni. We're very proud to have a lot of, over 200,000 alumni worldwide. Some of our alums are in the names of like Warren Buffett. We have 3 Nobel Prize winners from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And really, it is about the connections and the network that you build with our alumni or with business or with industry along your 4-year undergraduate time, maybe your 2-year master's, or maybe 4 or 5-year PhD program. It's that building of a network and connections that's going to put you on that path of career readiness, finding an opportunity for long-term success. And we're really, really proud of the alumni that we have. And they are oftentimes coming back to our campus, giving back. And we hope that you would consider being part of that network upon the completion of your degree of study here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Now, as we continue, I do want to also emphasize a few other things about your life as a student here. So either an undergrad or graduate student should know that we have over 500 clubs and organizations on our campus. That could be a cricket club, that could be badminton, that could be our Middle East and North African Student Association. There's a whole array of activity happening inside and outside our classrooms. One thing I always like to make sure international students know is we do also have some special designated spaces on our campus for Friday prayers or for religious observations. And we really want to make sure that you are feeling comfortable in the environment so far from home. And that's those types of recreation facilities, access to religious services or counseling services or health centers that really make students and parents at ease, knowing that your student's going to be okay. And that's something that we really want to prioritize in your awareness that Nebraska has. Now, next, I do want to also highlight some of our undergraduate on-campus living environments. So we have over 14 traditional residence halls. 8 are a traditional style. We have suite style residences. All of our residence halls on our campus have assigned resident assistants on each floor. Again, back to the security and safety and the peacefulness here in Lincoln. We really have a great UNL police force with 24-hour security on our campus, as well as getting in and around the city of Lincoln and living comfortably. Is even if you're living off campus, which many of our graduate students do, even some of our undergraduate students, there's free bus transportation all over the city. In fact, myself as a staff member, I could take advantage of the bus services should I wish. As well as there are parking options if you were to purchase a car, and you can live comfortably on and off our campus. Now, I remember 16 years ago when I was looking at universities, I was a wee bit younger. I was a little bit more interested in, okay, I know I wanted to study business. I knew I wanted to study management. But perhaps kind of strangely, the most important thing also for me in my college choice was, what am I going to eat? Which seems kind of silly to think about, but for us, we want to ensure that the diet considerations for all students are considered. We have a fantastic nutritionist on our campus who works with students, especially international students, seeking out a meal and nutrition plan for you. All of our dining facilities have halal and vegetarian options very clearly marked. And that's something that many international students are wanting to know is like, okay, will there be food that I can eat? And yes, for us, there's tons of opportunity to get fed. There are many different meal option plans for students living in our residence hall. Or even if you're a graduate student, it's not unheard of to maybe get a meal plan to get 5, 6, 10 meals a week in our dining facilities. For us, it's all on a meal swipe system. You scan a barcode when you arrive into the dining facility, and very much it's pretty slick. And I myself, as a staff member, I do eat in the cafeteria from time to time, and the food's really good. Sometimes I get a little overzealous. I might overeat sometimes in the dining facility, but all of the food is fantastic. The staff is very welcoming. You can answer and ask questions as you might wish about your dietary needs. Now, next, I want to quickly and briefly highlight our undergraduate admissions requirements. So if you're seeking maybe a graduate program, I'll cover that here in a few minutes. But for those who are seeking the undergraduate degree program, I first want to say our fall 2026 applications still are open, and we are still reviewing students for admission as well as for potential scholarships. If you're an undergraduate student, you will need to submit an application for admission, whether that be through the Common App, or you can submit an application through Nebraska's own application. But when we review our undergraduate students for admission, we ask for students to provide their past academic transcripts. So if you have taken an A-level curriculum, you'll need to submit those A-levels. If you're in a CBSE curriculum, you'll need to submit all those exams. IB, you'll need to submit those transcripts, or you'll also, if you're in a traditional curriculum, you'll need to submit your 9 through 10 secondary school certificates of transcripts, as well as the 11 and 12 higher secondary transcripts in Pakistan. When we look at students' admissions, we look for students who have taken at minimum 4 units of upper mathematics. So that would be like calculus, algebra, maybe a geometry course. We also look for students to have taken 3 units of natural science or social sciences, and then also 4 units of a broad selection of coursework in English as well as in your native language. Now, let's say you're missing 1 unit of mathematics and you want to be an engineering student. We also do place students who maybe have a deficiency in their high school curriculum into like a pre-engineering program or a pre-med program per se. So keep that in mind. If you don't quite miss all of our core course requirements, there is some advice that we will provide as an admissions office to you to get you on that career and that academic pathway that's the most appropriate. Now, next, we do require undergraduate students to submit an English proficiency exam. Again, once you submit that application for admission, myself, Ada, we're there hand in hand with you, guiding you and mentoring you on what exactly you will need. So it's okay if you don't remember precisely, I need a 79 on my TOEFL. We'll be able to help you understand what is needed to fulfill that English proficiency requirement. Now, last, I do want to highlight some really great scholarship opportunities here at Nebraska. So our fully admitted students, so students who have submitted their transcripts, submitted their English proficiency results, are automatically reviewed for our undergraduate partial tuition scholarship opportunities. So our scholarships range with our highest scholarship amount being that $15,000 per academic year of funding, which essentially cuts your cost of attendance for your tuition and fees almost in half. So we really are proud that we award students scholarships at the undergraduate level, which some institutions do not. So we review students based on their past academic performance for these scholarships. So the higher your grade point average, the higher potential scholarship that you may receive and are being reviewed for. In addition, each of these scholarships renews automatically each academic year, assuming you pass your classes and have satisfactory academic performance. Now, I talked really quickly about our admissions requirements, our scholarships, but I do want to leave you with 3 final thoughts about who Nebraska is and who the University of Nebraska-Lincoln can be for your undergraduate studies. So in graduate studies. So we're a Tier 1 education and cutting research institution. We have great research opportunities in science, technology, and entrepreneurship in the global fields. We offer student scholarships and support for international students, as well as we're a really safe, welcoming, and a vibrant community for our students, whether that be at the undergraduate or graduate level. Last, I do want to emphasize, before I go into some of our graduate requirements, is today's just the beginning of the conversation. Maybe you're considering studies for the fall 2026 term, but maybe you're also considering your studies for the spring 2027 term that starts in January, or the spring 2027 term in the fall of 2027 or beyond. Be in contact with us. It is okay to ask your questions about, hey, does Nebraska have this? Do I need to think about taking this course or that course? Our admissions staff very much is here to help along the way with that journey. So that is more of our undergraduate things. I'm going to quickly share my screen once more, and I'm going to talk a little bit about our graduate study program offerings here as well. So just bear with me as I share my screen one more time. So for those seeking a graduate at the master's or PhD program level, do know that it is more of a decentralized approach in terms of the funding and application steps and things. So the Office of Graduate Studies is the centralized entity on our campus, but they work very closely with all of our academic departments to make sure that our international student graduate admissions goes smoothly. Now, our grad studies has a very robust landing page. So this is their main page here. And our programs can all be found here on their programs page. So if you want to get a PhD in agriculture economics, you will click on that, and then it should then take you to some of those descriptions. Here is who you would need to contact with questions. So Taro or Alex, for this instance, the agriculture economics program, they will be the ones to help talk with you through some of those admissions requirements and steps. They would also probably be the individuals who would be able to help with TA or our research assistantship opportunities. As a graduate student, funding is oftentimes so much of a deciding factor. But Nebraska has tons and tons and tons of master's and PhD programs. All of them are within those same academic colleges, same academics and that support system that I mentioned earlier. Now, not all of our graduate programs come with funding, but you can learn a little bit more on their webpage regarding fellowships, regarding assistantships. And that's something that's typically handled more at the department level, if that department specifically would have any kind of funding. The Office of Graduate Studies also can assist you with that connection to an academic department. Now, again, you can also go to each of the colleges. So I pulled up briefly the electrical and computer engineering graduate program. So they have a master's and a PhD. Bioengineering, this is all the grad programs within the College of Engineering. And again, back down towards the end of the landing page, they have contacts of who you can be in touch with to seek out, is this department accepting any applicants for master's or PhD programs. So that's more of a quick and generalized graduate offerings, but I do want to pause and I want to address to see if there are any questions that I should answer live here on the screen. So I see a few questions about some of our grad programs here. I did talk a little bit about our full scholarship and funding through grad studies. That'd be something you need to discuss the department with. So here's a question about, I'm interested in a PhD in entomology. Again, Seda, I would recommend contact that department directly for your studies. I do see that Sarfaraz Ali asked about a TEA alumnus and have been at the Nebraska Omaha campus for professional training. Would you still need an English proficiency test? Those types of questions should be asked specifically to your department for graduate studies. Their requirements would be a little bit different than the undergraduate. Further, there's a question about asking about a master's in law. Yes, we do have a Juris Doctorate and a law school available for students as well. There's a question about MBA programs. Our MBA programs are all strictly online, so that would be something you would need to discuss that with the College of Business as well. So I do want to pause and thank you guys very much for the opportunity to speak with you. You will think of questions as you continue about your day, but do know that either you're feel free to stay in touch with me at admissions@unl.edu with your questions, or if you have questions as well, specifically, you can contact me on WhatsApp, and I'd be happy to either answer your questions to the best of my ability or connect you or guide you onto where you can receive those answers as well. So with that, I'm going to say thanks, and Laiba, I'll turn it back over to you if you have anything last to add.
No, I would say thank you so much. That was a very productive session, a very good session. Thank you so much for the presentation, and I'm sure that our audience would have greatly benefited from this session. And once again, we are always open for any future collaborations. It was a pleasure hosting you guys, and thank you very much to the audience as well for being here and listening to us. And with that, it's a wrap. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of the evening and morning to you guys. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye for now.